Take a look at this split screen. On the left, a traditional, messy pricing spreadsheet. In the middle, a sleek web app generated in 10 seconds with a simple prompt. And on the right, a massive six-figure invoice for an enterprise software suite. If you run operations, you're currently trying to figure out where your quoting or order management workflow fits among these options. There is an assumption right now that because an AI can generate code instantly, building custom software is suddenly cheap and reliable for everyone. But optimizing only for how fast you can get a screen to load creates systems that look functional on day one, but quietly shatter under the weight of actual business complexity. Prioritizing immediate speed over structural integrity creates a mountain of technical debt that will break your operation when you try to scale. Think of AI app builders like this collapsing house of cards. They build incredibly fast, but cannot handle a single piece of real weight. A generated user interface is great for a demo, but the second you force it to handle real, persistent user data, permissions, and complex workflows, the structure falls apart. The success of your software strategy in 2026 is determined by the specific rules of your business logic, not the marketing claims of the AI tool used to build it. Finding the right strategy requires taking an honest look at your own operational complexity before you ever sit through a vendor pitch. Let's start with this scorecard for consumer AI builders, tools like Bolt, V0, and Lovable. Notice the immediate green checkmarks next to UI speed and demos. These platforms allow you to type a plain language description and watch a working user interface appear in front of you in minutes. You get a rapid prototype instantly, but it runs on a fragile sandbox database. Change your data model and your data disappears. They generate login screens, but omit real authentication and access controls. And finally, no deployment pipelines, staging environments, or automated tests. These tools are excellent for investor demos and validating an idea. But taking that prototype and turning it into a production system is an entirely separate project that you still have to build. This brings us to the enterprise safety net, off-the-shelf SaaS platforms like Salesforce Revenue Cloud. On this quadrant chart, SaaS CPQ plots high for enterprise reliability, but low for customization flexibility. These systems are built for a specific profile, businesses that sell from standard product catalogs with rigid, predictable discount tiers. If that is how you sell, they deliver mature security and seamless CRM connections. But many manufacturers rely on tribal logic, variable pricing, engineering constraints, or exceptions in a senior rep's head. Force that specific logic into a standard framework, and the system fights back. You maintain endless workarounds just to generate a quote. These forced workarounds corrupt the underlying data that the platform's AI uses for training. When an AI model attempts to learn from a mess of inconsistent formula fields, it fails to find a signal. It often defaults to broad industry averages, leaving you with pricing recommendations that are too generic to reflect your actual win patterns. SaaS CPQ is highly reliable if your operations are standard. If they aren't, it becomes an expensive trap where you warp your workflow to match a vendor's configuration screen. This architecture flowchart outlines the third path, governed agentic build platforms like Customware. On the left, your specific tribal knowledge and business rules feed directly into a central hub of AI agents. Instead of a chat box to write code, these platforms deploy AI agents as software engineers, taking directions strictly from your rules. This guarantees a specific output, a custom codebase, a suite of end-to-end tests, and a fully hosted, stable database. Because you own the data model, your historical deal data can be integrated directly into a custom-built AI pricing engine. In practice, your sales reps get real-time margin guardrails and pricing recommendations based exactly on how your company wins deals, rather than generic industry averages. This path does require real input. You have to bring a baseline of clean historical quoting data and clearly define your business logic upfront. Doing that work on a governed platform eliminates scaling per-seat licensing fees and gives you total ownership of the intellectual property. For complex operators, it is the only viable path to custom software. For 20 years, building custom software was too slow and too expensive for a mid-market company to even consider. AI has shifted that math. The cost of building a production-grade system is now highly competitive with the recurring costs of buying and maintaining off-the-shelf SaaS. You have to resist the temptation to make your choice based strictly on the lowest upfront implementation cost. Picking the cheapest day one option, whether that's a consumer builder or a basic SaaS tier, means you hit a hard operational ceiling in year 2. When that happens, your only options are an expensive rebuild or retreating back to your messy spreadsheets. To make the right choice, let's map this out on a master decision tree. We start with one question. What are you building? First note, is this just a prototype for idea validation? If you are a non-technical founder testing a concept, use consumer builders like Bolt or V0. Just acknowledge that the code is a throwaway prototype, not a foundation. Second note, does your pricing follow standard catalog SKUs with rigid, predictable tiers? If your process is standard, buy an off-the-shelf system, pay the per-seat licenses, and do not overcomplicate a problem that has already been solved. Third note, is your pricing complex, tribal, driven by bills of materials, and heavy on exceptions? If your operations are complex, stop trying to force your unique business into a vendor's rigid box. The new math dictates you should use governed agentic platforms to build a custom asset that you actually own.